Hello everyone, welcome to Maritime Software Hub, the People Podcast. Today on this episode, I'm really excited to be talking to Marie-Clare Boys, who's the Sales Director at Sea Teleport. And we're going to be discussing the topic of automating crew changes. So Marie-Clare, thank you so much for coming on the show and welcome. And please give a little bit of an intro about who you are and your background.
Thank you for having me. So my name is Marie-Clare Boys. I'm the Sales Director for the Marine and Offshore Division at Sea Teleport. I'm based in Greece and I'm working remotely for them in Greece at the moment, but doing the global sales for them.
Excellent. And I saw that you've obviously got some really interesting background in the maritime space and obviously prior in the kind of the travel industry, which I'm sure ties you up nicely to your current role. But what was it like kind of transitioning from that more of a traditional kind of commercial shipping role to now into a sales, like a software type of platform?
Yeah, so it's actually a nice transition because I think also looking at how the industry is changing, it's a natural progression into sort of more technology, more software systems. So I think it was something that was lacking, especially in the crewing department for many, many years. And now we have the platform that we can offer to the crew departments within the shipping companies and sort of bring that part of the industry a little bit more forward technologically.
Okay, excellent. And can you tell us a bit about your role at Sea Teleport and what you do to kind of day to day?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, I'm the sales director. So I speak with my sales team, during the day, throughout the day. We have to be on par with each other and we have to be in line with what the company is aiming for. So we speak daily. And also with our customer success team as well to make sure that clients are, happy and everything is working smoothly for them and helping the growth. And also with IT department to make sure that we're aligned in the features that IT is working on and the requirements for the shipping companies in their crew departments. And also with the marketing team as well. So basically, we speak with everybody on a daily basis. It could be through Slack, it could be through, various channels, but yeah.
Great, and very busy, obviously, and yeah, as you said, it's really important to be speaking to all different departments and internal and external stakeholders, which is really interesting. Okay, and can you give an overview of Sea Teleport's kind of platform and the solutions you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a online B2B platform that allows users to book flights and hotels for their crew. And it's fully integratable with any HR or crewing software that any company is using. So our aim is to basically streamline and automate their processes by using the system and having access to our specially negotiated marine airfares. Because, as we know, seafarers are have access to this. So do the shipping companies. We give access to these fares, especially the marine fares, but also we have normal fares and low-cost airlines in there as well, depending on the requirements of the travel arrangements that need to be done. The whole point is to basically bring everything together, streamline the processes, save them time in doing everything instead of, emailing and doing it the more traditional ways. And having everything in one place.
Okay, excellent. And so in terms of automation, what are the type of kind of processes that you see crewing managers of ship owners doing daily, which hopefully the technology can help automate?
Yeah, so it's the sort of the mundane sort of emailing back and forth when you have a crew change that's happening. A lot of companies also like to benchmark. So they'll send out, emails to various travel agents. They'll wait for responses. Then they'll either go by cost or by what the travel company has managed to find them in terms of times for the flights and things like this. And then they'll go back to the travel agent and they'll say, please go ahead and book it. So there's a lot of back and forth going on at the moment. And this actually doesn't necessarily mean that they are acquiring the best rates either. They think that they are, but by doing all this, it actually costs them money as well. So spending a lot of time doing these kind of things, they could be doing something else that's more important, and they could have it done in seconds on the system. And basically the system does like an internal benchmarking for them as well. So they'd be able to have access to the multiple fares that they're now emailing people to wait for responses for. So they'd be done with their task in a lot faster way. And, all the costs and everything will be streamlined into the system, and they'll be able to see what savings they've got as well.
No, that's really interesting. And would that include obviously the travel aspect, but would it include things like if they call in port and one of the crew had to go see a doctor or arrange those type of arrangements at port, or is it mainly focused on the travel side?
It's mainly focused on the travel side, so anything to do with the flights, hotels, transfers, transportation, trains, car
Yeah.
hires, things like that. Yeah, that's mainly the focus of the system at the moment. But you never know; it could be expanding into more sort of
Yeah.
areas in the
But it
future.
sounds like a big part of your role, or maybe your team's role, is housing those kind of key airlines or the providers and at the best rate. So you're kind of being a bit like a broker yourselves in a way that you're finding the best fares for people and things, which I'm sure is a huge incentive for people to use the teleports.
Yeah, exactly. So the system has, well, the IT, our amazing IT department, they've developed, the system where basically it's got this sort of AI behind it. And it has, well, we have contracts with all the airlines, and we have from different countries as well. So our platform can basically devise any type of routing for this travel on a flight, and present this to the customer. So someone who's currently doing it manually, maybe in a travel company, our system does it automatically.
Okay.
And it can come up with thousands of options, basically. So it really can offer a multitude of things to the customer when they're choosing something.
Brilliant. And I guess that kind of gets me on to the next point, which might be covered in your answer there. But I guess, how do you sort of see over the years, obviously coming from perhaps more of a manual sort of travel, I guess, travel focused role now into more of a technology focused? How do you think it's really kind of advanced the crew planning process for the ship owners?
Yeah, it's quite amazing to see the technology that is out there now to help streamline everything. So um, it's fully automation. It's full automations basically. So um, when you have a department that's busy all day doing various tasks, and they can have everything in one place, and our integration basically can push data back into their software, so that is always updated, but then they always have access to the platform in case they need to check something or anything that needs to be double checked on their end. It's all there, so they don't need to look through thousands of emails, or invoices and things like that. It's all in one place. So it's quite amazing what the platform can offer the department now.
Yeah, and I guess, as you said, the reporting suite, it would be really interesting on costs and things, and seeing where you can make some savings. So that's really interesting. I guess when you've been speaking to and perhaps your team pitching to potential customers, what type of challenges have you faced in general so far?
I think mainly the challenge is maybe change management. So still there is a little bit of apprehension, let's say, to technology. I think maybe some customers find that it's not on the top of their priority list yet, but it is coming. So it depends on how advanced a department is really within that company, and then they can see what it has to offer. So the streamlining and the cost effectiveness and all this kind of automations, once they actually do see it, and they can get past that sort of old way of that old mentality, let's just say, then it's really a no-brainer for them. So yeah, it's just getting past that little hill of technology acceptance.
Yes, that makes sense. And would you say perhaps the more traditional, maybe kind of 2, 3 kind of fleet size ship owners, maybe up to, I don't know, 10, 20 or so, are they the kind of the main target focus where you kind of onboarded clients so far, or you also obviously going over after the larger ship owners as well?
No, so we have clients from all sizes. So there's really no limitation. And even the smaller ones with 1 or 2 vessels, to the large enterprise customers, if they can see that vision, and they can see what the platform can offer them, then they are super happy to use it. So it doesn't really matter on the size. It's
Okay, yeah.
that one, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Good, good. And I guess any other insights you can share? Because I'd like to move on to a little bit about your role and obviously how you've developed in sales. So anybody that's interested in just a general kind of software sales type of career path, we could dive into that a little bit. But before we do, anything else you'd like to kind of run through or go over with regards to C Teleport or automation in this space?
Yeah, no, I think also the other amazing thing that the platform has is the automated reporting that you touched upon earlier. It basically, at a push of a button, they can have a report thrown out by the system to them without having to wait for somebody to actually physically go and do it and check through it and make sure that everything's correct. Human error, unfortunately, is inevitable sometimes. But using the system, it can just basically pull all that data and extract it from the system automatically.
Yeah.
It's all synced, and then it can just they can run their own sort of analysis, cost per vessels and routings and things like that, and have that in a second. If top management asks for something like that, they can quickly just do it, and say, "Here you go," instead of waiting.
Yeah, and there's some really interesting other platforms in the crewing space that we've had on the show, like Credentials and Tiller and Tenure, that are kind of focused on the different elements of the kind of crewing life cycle, and this sounds like a really fantastic kind of piece to slot in there. Would you kind of integrate with those other players? Maybe you don't necessarily need to, but you said it's like an open sort of source platform that can feed into other HR systems and stuff. So I assume there must be kind of like someone like a Credentials that is checking all the verification of the crew and everything to make sure they can go on board certain trips. Would you speak to those type of partners as well, or would that mainly be the ship owner that has that relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if a client has a requirement and they think that's something that they need, we can definitely look into it. So we always listen to our customers, and we go back to our IT, and we file those feature requests. We see how important they are, how many of those we have, and then we prioritize them. So IT will sit down and we'll look through everything and prioritize things depending on the requirements of specific clients. So nothing is really, nothing is a no. Everything is a possibility.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Awesome. So we're going to get on to your obviously your role and the area of sales. In particular, this is of interest to us because as you know, we're a specialist sort of recruitment agency that focuses on predominantly on the commercial side of shipping. So and shipping SaaS, I mean, so software sales, business development, and account management, that type of thing. And a lot of people come from commercial shipping backgrounds like broking, chartering, or even kind of more on the vessel side, so port operation or vessel operations, that type of thing. So we touched upon it in the start when you said what it's been like transitioning over to a more of a tech focused sales role. But do you have any initial kind of tips, perhaps, just for people that are maybe thinking about leaving a more traditional shipping type of company into more of the technology type of sales space?
Yeah, I think it's just really being open-minded and understanding what your product is, and having a clear vision of what you're trying to achieve. I think there's no limitation to really background if you have shipping or you have travel, let's say for our industry anyway, or our company. I think, within the sales role, these can play a key factor in helping you get into that department, if that's something that you want to go for. But I think just having a sort of a clear vision of what your product is and really believing in it, I think that's something that you really have to have. I think you need to believe in what you're selling, and be realistic as well. So I think that's one of the key factors in the sales, and sort of transitioning from different roles into the sales for this type of industry.
Yeah, I think a lot of our clients that we work with are either kind of, maybe they have a SaaS platform that's maybe a bit more vessel performance focused, or fleet management, or kind of reducing emissions, that type of thing. So typically we see a lot of former mariners or chief engineers, or naval architects going down the line of kind of pursuing a role within the decarbonisation sort of space, because they've had some good exposure to it. Or of course, more so on your side, the crewing technology typically lends itself well to the former mariners that have day to day been maybe chief officers or something, liaising with ports and crews, so and travel agents. So it makes sense. And then we see the former maybe ship brokers or operators, or even like freight traders, sometimes moving over to slightly more kind of the pre and at fixture kind of stage. Those type of platforms, like the Signal Group and C and Kepler, those sort of businesses. So there seems to be a bit of a natural shift, as you said, to the type of role that might interest people and their background. So we definitely see that as well. Um, and what would a role look like if you came into a SaaS type of role? How does it work? How do you make revenue? That type of thing. Is it typically a subscription basis? Do you get one-off consultancy fees? That type of thing.
Yeah, so basically, you mean how we work with our clients?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so basically, we have a fixed fee which is added to every flown flight.
Okay.
So a flight could cost £300, a flight could cost £20,000. There is one fixed fee that we have for flown flights. So we work like that. We can work with commitment fees, we can work with platform fees. It depends on what the client is willing to sort of accept as a fee. So we're quite open to discussions and to create what the client would be happy with.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then I think a lot of other, I mean, the more subscription focused SaaS platforms, they would typically, yes, charge like an annual subscription fee, where maybe clients pay per month, or it could be per voyage, depending on the type of solution. Or maybe it's an annual subscription to data, so commodities sort of flows, insights, and that type of thing. And then sometimes an extra amount for advisory services, that type of thing. So yeah, lots of big variety of types of revenue kind of streams in this space. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, I think what's important to note though is that our platform, because it's a technology platform, but behind we have people that are working to assist as well. So we have support team which is there to assist with emergency things or any questions that our clients have. So we have that sort of hands-on one-on-one support team there, and then we have IT, which is running all the features and the system behind it. So there's a lot of still, even though it's a technology platform, there's a lot of people behind it, making sure that it's running perfectly, and adding new things to it as well. So that's why it's not really fixed, and it can be sort of ad hoc, depending
Yeah,
on the requirements.
definitely. No, that makes sense. And in terms of kind of you liaising, you talked about it at the start with like the product management team and IT. What's that relationship like with you guys? Like, if you have, for example, like an inquiry from a client type of thing, are they very receptive to like making certain changes? And I appreciate it's more to do with like maybe per flight booked or something, but the solutions you offer, do you generally work quite closely with the product management team?
Yes, we do. So We speak regularly. We have a system where we file feature requests. So these are all uploaded in there. And then if it's something that's really important that needs to be fixed because that client really wants it, then we kind of discuss, and we try and get that done as quickly as possible, depending on the team's uh, schedules really, and what's running ahead of other things.
Okay, cool. All right then. And I guess in your role, we talked about challenges in terms of kind of the general business, but as a sales director as a whole, and maybe it can relate to your role if you like, but just in general, what sort of challenges do you tend to face in your type of position?
I think we just need to all be aligned, and I think that's the main thing, to make sure all teams are aligned and everyone is following a path to achieve the goals. So we have to make sure that our goals are clear, that everybody is comfortable in what they're selling, basically, and there are no questions. So just to make sure that everybody is clear on everything, and having everybody on the same page. And of course, if they're not, you just have to try and nurture that, and try and walk them through it, and help them see, what it is that they need to achieve.
Yeah. Okay. And does your role also involve like performance reviews, that type of thing, or setting KPIs, that sort of thing for your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have performance reviews. Well, we have to do them every 6 months,
Okay.
and then we do our KPIs and our OKRs, and we set our goals for every quarter. We try to achieve those goals. So we try to push each other when we know that one of the goals is kind of lagging behind. We kind of assist and we help and we kind of push, just to get that goal achieved, and reach the level that we want.
And is your prospecting type of channels? Do you kind of, is it a lot of to do with networking? Is it kind of digital platforms like sales cadences and things on things like HubSpot, that type of thing, or is it cold calling? What type of approach do you tend to adopt?
Yeah, we have multiple approaches depending on departments. So we have a group of SDRs, which they are reaching out and doing some cold calling. Then we have, the sales department. We have our CRM system that we use as well. We use LinkedIn channels. We use our network, obviously, conferences, exhibitions. So yeah, it's just about nurturing the contacts, and making sure that you keep that conversation open for when people are ready to sort of have that next step conversation into turning into a customer or discussing certain things that they need.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's obviously how I met Anastasia at Positonia, I think it was this year, and we talked about the podcast and things. So yeah, the value of face-to-face networking and contact is still really, really key, especially in shipping. So definitely worthwhile. Um, okay, awesome. Well, I think from my side, I think that's kind of wraps up most of what I wanted to run through at the moment. But like I mentioned, I always like to get a feel for people, like what they like to do in their spare time, that type of thing. So I know you're obviously living in Greece now. So is there any kind of like things you like to get up to while you're outside of work?
Yeah, I mean, visiting the islands or the mountains, the countryside is beautiful here. So we're very blessed to be in a
Yeah.
country that has everything at its doorstep. Other people have to catch flights and things like that to get there. So we're quite lucky. So yeah, just exploring Greece, and its history, its culture, its food, and the beaches are very
Yeah.
nice as well. Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, I think I mentioned I lived in Pasilimani for around 9 months in 2006, and at the time I found it quite tricky to kind of, sounds terrible, but sort of socialize, embed myself in the kind of culture initially, and I was doing bits of work experience with some different ship owners and things. But other than that, I found it took a little while to kind of adapt and get into sort of the local kind of culture and stuff. But some of the friends I made there are literally still friends for life now, and that was, yeah, 15 years ago or so. So it seems like a fantastic place to live, and I'm really glad. Obviously, it seems like it's working very well for you.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. Yeah, it takes a little while to adjust, I think, when lived other places as well. But yeah, the connections that you make, they last a lifetime. So that's very nice. Part of the culture anyway.
Good. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you again for coming on the show. And obviously, if anybody would like to reach out to you or the Sea Teleport team, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Absolutely. So they can contact me on LinkedIn, and through our website, cteleport.com.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, I'll share the links obviously in the show notes. And once again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And thank you all for listening and tuning in again. It's great to keep the show going. And thank you for your support.
Thank you very much for having me.